To Bangladesh now, which is holding elections on February 12th. One of the main political parties is National Citizen Party, a party born out of a student uprising that toppled a long-time government of Sheikh Hasina in 2024. The party's been struggling to gain political ground and it faces backlash over an alliance with an Islamist group. DW's Zobaer Ahmed reports from Dhaka.
In a narrow street in Dhaka, under campaign lights and loudspeakers, Nahid Islam is doing what few expected him to have to do, ask for votes. Once a student leader of the uprising that toppled Sheikh Hasina's government, the 27-year-old now leads the National Citizen Party, or NCP, a Gen Z party trying to turn revolution into representation.
Such an election is extremely rare. This is no ordinary vote. It is not just about changing a government, but about changing the country itself. The result will determine how Bangladesh is governed for the next 20 or 50 years, and what kind of state structure or constitution will shape its future.
The NCP was born from a 2024 mass uprising that ended an increasingly authoritarian rule. But weeks before the election, the party made a controversial move, joining an 11-party electoral alliance that includes Jamaat-e-Islami and other Islamist groups. The decision has triggered criticism, resignations, and raised questions about whether the movement is compromising its founding ideals.
At first, we planned to contest the elections independently. Later, given the situation in the country, we realized that to fulfill our reform promises, we need a voice in the Reform Council. We therefore felt a broader unity was necessary.
While the move has split the party, many NCP members say the alliance is a necessary strategy to translate protest energy into electoral gains. They argue it offers the young party the best chance to secure seats in the parliament.
The alliance has proven to be a breaking point for several prominent figures inside the NCP, including women who also played an important role in last year's uprising. Jabin is one of them.
This reflects a failure of leadership. There's a lack of experience, as everyone here is new to national politics. Many want to stay close to power, fearing that if they give up even a little, they might lose something. All of these factors pushed them in that direction.
Political analysts say the crisis exposes a familiar problem for youth-led movements, the difficult transition from protest to power. Some argue that the NCP moved too fast and is compromising its political future.
In Sri Lanka, revolutionary groups succeeded in entering politics. And in Nepal, they are also on track to succeed, at least emerging as a main opposition force. In Bangladesh, however, they lost momentum as the leading opposition, which means the expectations born out of the revolution have also been derailed. The students fell behind because they misread what the people expected from the uprising and failed to translate those expectations into politics.
Nahid Islam disagrees. For him, entering parliament is not a surrender, but a necessity.
Political conclusions cannot be drawn in a single day. We are not in a hurry. We are moving forward with a long-term strategy and prepared for a prolonged struggle. Strengthening our organization is essential, and that is the direction we are heading in.
As Bangladesh heads into a crucial vote, the NCP's journey reflects a larger question facing youth movements worldwide: how to hold on to revolutionary ideals while navigating the realities of power. For Nahid Islam and his party, the ballot box is now the next battlefield.
Arafat Ahmed joins us in the studio, a Bangladeshi expat living in Berlin. He's been closely following developments in his country since the uprising. Tell us more about this political transition and the students who led the uprising and managed to get so far. But in politics itself, how far are they actually getting?
In politics itself, they are very Dhaka-oriented still, because Dhaka is the political capital of Bangladesh, not just the actual capital. And they are still very city-centric. Mm-hmm. So their popularity seems to be only limited to their own areas or in Dhaka. And they have struggled to get grassroots movements going within the country, because Bangladesh in itself is very divided and divisive. And it's not very big, but it's very different in all the different regions and political constituencies.
So where are they failing, or who and how are they failing people in rural areas or other parts of the country?
The political establishment itself is, the political elites, if I may say, were always BNP and Bangladesh Awami League. Mm-hmm. Since Awami League has left, there is a big void, but most of the void has been filled up by the third largest political party, which is Bangladesh Jamaat-e-Islami. Mm-hmm. NCP is a very new party, and for any new political parties to get any kind of grassroots movements going, it's really tough. Because the education level or the rural people lean on to people who already have power or people who already know people in the city. And it's really hard for NCP to get any kind of grassroots movement going because they're still new. People don't yet entirely trust them, even though the main leaders of the party itself, they have a lot of face. They have now like they were the advisors of the interim government, some of them, but still they don't have the trust of many Bangladeshi people, because the trust of the people, getting that trust is really hard and it's time consuming. And
what's gone wrong with this alliance with this religious-focused party?
So Jamaat-e-Islami has always been very conservative, if I like to put it lightly. Mm-hmm. Even quite recently, the main leader of Jamaat-e-Islami, the Naib Amir, he did an interview with Al Jazeera, and in that interview itself, he out and out spoke that no woman could ever become the leader of Jamaat-e-Islami.
Okay.
It's like women do not have the capacity or capability.
And this is after Sheikh Hasina was leading the country after such a long time.
Sheikh Hasina, and before Sheikh Hasina, it was Begum Khaleda. Since the independence of 1971, since 1980s or 1990s, only women have ruled in our country. And to see the Jamaat-e-Islami leaders say something like that, it is very, I don't even have a word for it, to be honest.
So where's the country going?
The country is going upward and onwards, in my opinion, because as many of us already know, the quarter of the voting population are still us. And we want a better future for us, and we will be working towards it.
Arafat Ahmed, thank you very much for coming in today.
And let's dig a bit deeper into this with Naomi Hossain. She's Professor of Development Studies at the School of Oriental and African Studies at the University of London. Welcome to DW. Naomi, you are in Dhaka. How popular do you think the student party NCP actually is?
It's a little bit hard to say. There's been a lot of opinion polling over the last few months. But the numbers that they're polling at are pretty low. And since they decided to be in an alliance with the Jamaat-e-Islami, I think their popularity has declined further. There's a lot of people in Bangladesh who saw in the student movement a progressive pro-democracy movement, and have been disappointed that the party that came out of the movement has decided to build an alliance with what is basically an unabashedly patriarchal party with quite a murky history of politics in Bangladesh. And in particular, of course, their women leaders and supporters have been deserting the party, but not only the women. Some of their former allies and supporters with more progressive views have also been leaving the party. Yeah, the main mood, I think, around the NCP is one of disappointment.
Now, we've seen and heard in the report some women members of the NCP have left the party due to its alliance with that religious party, Jamaat-e-Islami. What exactly were defecting members protesting against?
So the Jamaat-e-Islami has, as I said, a murky history of opposing the National Liberation War back in 1971, and many of their leaders were convicted in let's admit it, faulty war criminal trials back in 2013 of war crimes, including mass rape and other issues. So they don't have a very positive overall image in the country. So a lot of the women who were leaving the NCP, a lot of the women who were unhappy with the NCP, have taken that view that the Jamaat-e-Islami is not a suitable party of government. But I should say we really don't know what the general public thinks. It's been a long time since we've had any kind of free and fair elections in Bangladesh. We can't really say what the opinion polls really mean, because people have for so long been repressed in their political expression. They may be fearful of speaking out. So there are some quite strong and quite well-informed views that the Jamaat party may actually do much better than they're expected to do. And in all honesty, a lot of political analysts would not be surprised if they were to win.
Now, tell us more about the mood in the country ahead of these elections. What do they mean for ordinary Bangladeshis across the board, especially after an uprising that toppled the government of Sheikh Hasina?
I think people are really quite eager now for the elections to be done for several reasons. One is to restore some kind of normality in the country. And the interim government's been holding the fort for the last 18 months, and it's been really hard. It would have been really hard under normal circumstances, but the law and order situation has been really quite poor. The economic situation's not great. The interim government was ruling with a quite unclear legal mandate. So they've been under a lot of pressure. And actually, it's really shown. I think people are feeling more and more unhappy with having this interim government, looking very much forward to an elected government with the mandate to rule, to sort out the economy, to restore law and order. And I'm not actually sure how many people really care who wins. It seems that the BNP, the former, the long-term opposition, the main second party in Bangladesh after the Awami League, historically at least, they do seem to be on track to win. They seem to be growing their support over the last few weeks. Their leader just returned to Bangladesh after exile in London for the last 17 years. He just returned on December the 25th. That's given them a bit of a bump in the polls, and a kind of a good feeling has emerged around BNP, I think. But, I'm sitting here in Dhaka. I haven't been around the rest of the country, so I can't tell you what the rest of the country is thinking.
Professor Naomi Hossain there, thank you very much for sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you.